Welcome to Fight City NYC. My name is Ben Chan. I'm here with Aris Pina. We do the Punch Zone for HBO. We're the sexiest statisticians in boxing. Now, the last time you saw us, I was telling people you gotta watch Nonito Donaire versus Omar Narvaez. It's in New York. It's at the Garden. And for those of you who listen to me, I'm sorry. It was a fight where one guy came to fight, and his name was Nonito Donaire. Narvaez came from Argentina to collect a paycheck, and hopefully he'll go back to Argentina and we'll never see him again. What's next for Nonito Donaire?
You know, Nonito Donaire tried his best in that fight, and the crowd chanted BS. I have to agree with him. It was pretty terrible because Narvaez didn't want to do anything except go to distance and be very proud about it afterwards. Nonito Donaire now is going to be moving up to the junior featherweight division. I wish he'd stay at bantamweight maybe for another fight or two. He still has business with Joseph Akbeko or Abner Maris, but I digress. So he's going to be moving up to junior featherweight.
A lot of good fights up there.
Yeah, there's some very good fights in junior featherweight. He has Toshiaki Nishioka, who just came off that great win against Rafael Marquez. There's Wilfredo Vasquez Jr. There's also Jorge Arce, who's the WBO champion, having an Indian summer right now, doing his thing. A lot of great fights going up there. I'd expect him probably to fight Arce some point next year, and then Nishioka.
Yeah, I like him moving up in weight because as much as I respect Akbeko, as much as I respect Mars, I don't see any of those guys really having a chance versus.
No, and to be honest, I don't really see guys in junior featherweight having much of a chance. I think he destroys Arce, and I think he beats Nishioka, even though I think Nishioka might be his toughest fight.
Right, and my dream fight right now would be Donaire versus Gamboa.
But it looks like Gamboa is going to be moving up to fight Brandon Rios, which I'll easily take as well.
That's a great fight.
That's fine. Yeah.
So, let's talk about one of the fights that's happening on this weekend on Showtime, actually. We got Lucien Boutet versus Gentleman Glenn Johnson, the Road Warrior. He's 42 years old.
Just an OG.
You're right.
He's an OG.
Now, Johnson is 42 years old. He's a lot older than Boutet, who's 31 years old. Both of these guys, actually, Johnson was in the Super 6 tournament. Lucien Boutet wasn't. It's happening in Montreal. What should we expect from this fight?
Should be a very good fight. I mean, Lucien Boutet's one of the rising stars in boxing, tremendous talent. He's scored countless knockouts against his opponents in his super middleweight title defenses. Glenn Johnson, as we all know, the Road Warrior. I mean, the guy's been through everything, fought everybody, former light heavyweight champion, come through some bad breaks, but I mean, he's finishing up his career right now, moved back down to super middleweight. He gave Carl Froch a tremendous fight in his last fight. This is going to be a great fight. I mean, both guys have had quality round sparring with each other also back in the day when they were getting ready for their respective fights. They know each other. They're both action fighters, crowd pleasing. Can't go wrong. Now, not the last time, but we saw what Boutet did to Liberato Andrade, a guy that we didn't think that anybody could knock out. Yeah.
Now, do you think that Boutet can knock out Glenn Johnson?
No. I mean, Glenn Johnson's only been stopped once in his career, and he wasn't even dropped in that fight. I don't believe Glenn Johnson's ever been knocked down in his career. And that one fight was against Bernard Hopkins way back in 1997. Glenn Johnson's fought them all since then. You know, think about the countless fighters he's fought. You know, besides Roy Jones and Antonio Tarver and the rest of the guys the big names, he's fought everybody else from the 90s up until today. And Glenn Johnson hasn't been stopped since then. Lucien Boutet shouldn't do it. Boutet should be the favorite in this fight.
Yes.
He's a little bit younger. He's more fluid. But Johnson's going to give him hell. That's guaranteed.
And if you get a chance, please check out Glenn Johnson before he hangs him up. He's 42 years old. We don't know how many fights he has left in him, but I respect him because he's a road warrior. He's a guy who travels to other people's countries.
Yeah, and he doesn't mind. He fights anywhere. He knows he's not going to get a fair shake half the time, but he still knows he's like, something, I'm going to do my best to make sure that the judges are going to be swayed.
Mm-hmm. Now, the card that's going to be on HBO this weekend, November 5th, starts out with a friend of the show, Petey Quillen, Kid Chocolate, versus Craig McEwen. This is a showcase fight for Quillen. He is 25-0 with 19 knockouts. This is his chance to make a name for himself in the middleweight division on television with HBO. The middleweight division is very shallow. What should we expect from this fight?
It's going to be a great fight for Peter Quillen. I mean, Peter Quillen's been a rising star in boxing. He's had his coming out party this past year. He's knocked out Jesse Brinkley, coming off a good win against Jason LaHulia. Craig McEwen, on the other hand, had that loss to Andy Lee, but he performed very well in that fight. He was arguably leading in the fight. The fight was even up until then. And he put up a tremendous effort. So this is deserving that he gets a shot back on HBO. Both guys used to train with Freddie Roach, so they've sparred with each other. They know each other pretty well. They're friends, but they're not the best of friends. And Quillen, who's a tremendous personality, I think he's going to bring it because he knows this is his coming out party. He's been waiting to get on HBO for a while. He's had a few bad breaks a couple of years ago with all his injuries and promoter litigation, stuff like that. But now he's on the fast track to stardom. He really wants to fight with Sergio Martinez, Dimitri Piargo, Felix Sturm. And this is the stopping point to get to that position against Craig McEwen.
So best of luck to Kid Chocolate. Now, that's the appetizer. Let's talk about the main course on the HBO card. Happening in Mexico, we have Alfredo Angulo fighting James Kirkland.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here we have two guys who were hot prospects, and they each suffered a loss. Most recently, it was Kirkland who suffered a loss, but Angulo himself hasn't been in action because he's had visa troubles getting out of Mexico, which is why this fight is happening in Mexico. Since losing, Kirkland hooked up with Ann Wolfe again, and they've been training. You've heard some rumors about Kirkland's regiment under Ann Wolfe.
Yeah, well, we all know how Ann Wolfe usually can be. We've heard of her crazy training methods. We've seen her on Real Sports. And I've heard she's even stepped it up even more in this fight. These are not confirmed, but from what I believe it, because this sounds like something she would do. Some of the things that I've heard rumors about that she's done is that she's tied James Kirkland's hand behind his back and had 5 guys just wail the hell out of him. He's been running 7 miles in the searing heat and then doing 50-yard dash wind sprints right after that. And then Ann Wolfe punches him in the stomach right after she's done with that, turning the heat up full blast in the gym while he's sparring. Just things like that.
I would never ever want to be punched by Ann Wolfe.
No.
But despite all of this, we both saw what Nobuhiro Shida did to Kirkland and his chin. We've seen Kirkland get knocked down before. Is any of this really going to help his chin?
We don't know. I mean, hopefully the reason why all these things are making headlines is because they're so unorthodox, and that's what Ann Wolfe is known for. But I really hope, and I'm sure she's doing it because she's no dummy, that Ann Wolfe is working on these technical aspects that James Kirkland needs to work on. Because if not, he can be in the best condition in his life and want to kill everybody in sight, but he's still going to get caught by punches that he can't block.
Now, speaking of trainers, the guy in the other corner is Nacho Bernstein. He's known for training Juan Manuel Marquez, trained a lot of actually good Mexican technical fighters. Now, Angulo's a brawler. How much of an impact do you think Bernstein's going to have on his style?
Well, we'll have to say about that. Bernstein is a great trainer, as we've seen. He's had Hall of Fame trainer Gilberto Roman, Ricardo Lopez, Juan Manuel Marquez. I mean, the list goes on and on. But Nacho Bernstein, what he can bring to it is that Alfredo Angulo is actually a little bit more technical than James Kirkland is. You got to give him that. But he still is a brawler at heart. What Nacho Bernstein wants to do is try to probably fine-tune those technical issues. Work on his jab a little bit more, keep his defense a little bit more tighter, not try to go for the kill as quickly as he does, but not change his styles to make him become a boxer, because you can't change a guy like that. He is who he is, but you can fine-tune some of the things, fine-tune his technical things, and that's what James Kirkland needs to do. But either way, it's going to be a battle.
Now, what's your prediction for this fight?
I've been actually pretty bad this year, but I'm going with Kirkland. I think Kirkland is just a little bit more explosive than Angulo. Angulo has only been in the ring. He's only had half a round of boxing in the past 18 months because of all his issues and stuff like that. But here's to say that Angulo, I'm sure he's not going to show that much rush. A guy like Kirkland is just going to come right at you, face right in there, and for the first few rounds, it's going to be very explosive.
Now, I'm going to play the part of contrarian over here because it seems like every time that I've told people, watch this fight, it's going to be good, it ends up being a clunker. So what if these two guys respect each other so much, or respect each other's power so much, that they try to box one another?
I can't see that happening. I mean, a guy like James Kirkland, he is who he is, and so is Alfredo Angulo. All they know how to do is come forward and try to pound each other to oblivion. It's going to happen again. Kirkland is not afraid of anyone. He's still trying to build himself back up from the Ishida loss. Because remember, that was his last big appearance on television. Since then, he's been slowly rebuilding. This is his chance for redemption. Same thing with Angulo. That's why this fight is happening. If the loser of this fight, they're still going to be viable, but they're going to lose a lot of luster. The winner of this fight is going to be in line maybe for a Martinez fight pretty soon. You don't know. And both guys are very hungry. It can't go wrong.
Okay, so Aris predicts a good fight, and I'm cautious, but I hope the fight turns out the way you predict.
Well, they have to. They're going to destroy each other.
Now, let's look ahead to next week, to November 12th, the pay-per-view card on HBO. Let's talk about Pacquiao versus Marquez, the third fight in the trilogy. There's been some controversy with the strength and conditioning trainers for each guy.
Yeah.
Now, this time around, Juan Manuel Marquez decided to bring in a guy named Angel Heredia, or actually on the show, he's credited as Angel Hernandez. Some of you might know the name because he was implicated in a steroid scandal. He was the guy that got caught passing steroids off to Marion Jones' husband, Timothy Montgomery, and now he's in Juan Manuel Marquez's camp. And it has to be said that Marquez looks in great shape. He looks a lot better than he did the first time he tried to move up in weight when he fought Floyd Mayweather Jr. What do we make of this?
That's been the new thing in boxing right now is that everyone has been talking about this person's on drugs, that person's on drugs, this person's on performance enhancement, all this stuff. And it's going to raise some eyebrows because this guy was indicted in the Balco Victor Conte situation. He was known as one of the right-hand man, the whole Marion Jones situation. So, of course, it's going to raise some eyebrows. And the same thing, any Manny Pacquiao fight's going to raise eyebrows too because there's still a lot of believers out there thinking he's on the juice. So with that coming, I believe, in my opinion, just every fight from now on, especially a high-profile fight, should just be USDA, Olympic-style drug testing, just to clear up the issues and just to have fighters stop complaining because that's the new excuse now. This guy was on the juice.
Mm-hmm. Right. It seems like every time somebody loses, whether it's Ortiz or somebody else, they get accused of being on steroids.
Exactly. And when it comes down to it, I really don't think Marquez is doing anything illegal. That's not his style. That's not who he really is. He has too much respect for the sport of boxing to try something like that. He just remembers how bad he looked in his fight with Floyd Mayweather. He came in really sluggish. He didn't put on the weight right. He's trying his best to try to come in as a welterweight because the fight's at 144 pounds. You got to do what you got to do. And here's the interesting point is that he actually tried to get in contact with Victor Conte, and he invited him out for his fight with the Lee Carl Ramos fight that lasted half a round. And they had a discussion. They looked like they were going to work together, but Victor Conte's new policy is that any guy that wants to work with him has to go out to the Bay Area.
Right.
And Juan Manuel Marquez wanted to stay in Mexico.
And Conte is no stranger to the sport of boxing. He is the strength and conditioning coach for Andre Ward, and he also works with Nonito Donaire.
And he has a sword to pass also, but he's cleaned himself up.
Mm-hmm. And there was controversy on Pacquiao's side of the camp because his strength and conditioning coach, Alex Ariza, said that maybe there's too much testing in boxing, steroids or performance-enhancing drugs are a thing of the past.
I think that's a stupid comment. I mean, to be honest, that kind of is a dumb comment to be because they really do need just testing just to keep everyone in the clear and just let it be known what's going on with this sport. That's what needs to happen. And when Manny Pacquiao fight, all the allegations, he came up from 105 pounds, why does he still have power, why does he have this, why does he have that? Any fight that Pacquiao's going to have, there's going to be controversy with that.
Mm-hmm. And
no matter what.
They need to institute something because otherwise then people like Floyd Mayweather look like the knight on the white horse.
Yeah, and it really is. And this is just the underlying factor is that he doesn't want to fight Pacquiao.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah, and until that happens, the accusations will fly. I personally believe everybody is innocent until proven guilty.
I agree.
The only thing that we've seen Marquez juicing on is his own urine. So, and last I checked, that wasn't illegal. I mean, disgusting, but not illegal.
Yeah. And then from what I guess someone explained to Marquez that drinking your own piss isn't the most intelligent idea. So I heard he stopped that.
Okay.
Good for him.
Good for him. If anything, maybe that's the best thing he learned from his
stick to your quail eggs.
Right. If you want to read more about the steroids controversy, look at Bad Left Hook. There's an article written by Scott Christ, very good boxing blog that I urge everybody to check out. So watch the fight on November 12th, Pacquiao versus Marquez. We got Joel Casamayor versus Timothy Bradley on that undercard. And then you have to watch this weekend on free HBO. We've got Petey Quillen in action versus Craig McEwen. You've got Alfredo Angulo versus James Kirkland.
And then on Showtime, we have Lucian Bute against Glenn Johnson. It's going to be a great night of boxing. Can't go wrong. And before we go, I'd just like to make a shout out to two of my good friends. One of them, Mike Coppinger, who Ben and I work with at Copybox, who was just elected to become a prominent member of ringmagazine.com, and also Ryan Sangalia. They both going to be put on now for ringmagazine.com and be featured writers on there. It's a great honor. Keep the tradition alive. Congratulations.
Congratulations, guys. They both know their stuff. I'm glad they're aboard. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching Fight City NYC. We'll see you next week.